Imagine blowing up your boss's planet killer and having to show up for work on Monday. That's where Vader Volume 1 kicks off. This picks up right after A New Hope, when Vader's getting raked over the coals for losing the Death Star and quietly deciding he's done being the Emperor's punching bag. The book is basically office politics, but make it Sith. He's running side hustles with the criminal underworld, hiring an ethically questionable archaeologist, and starting the world's worst HR team with 2 murder droids while he hunts the mystery pilot who embarrassed him. If you enjoy watching Vader scheme, intimidate, and pretend everything's fine while planning a hostile takeover, this is the very solid start to the run. Alright, before we dive into the scheming and the murder droids, let's answer the big continuity question. Where the heck does this actually sit? This series plugs straight into the timeline right after A New Hope and before The Empire Strikes Back. The Death Star's gone, the Emperor's furious, and Vader's basically the guy who survived the disaster. So who gets the most of the blame? It runs in parallel with Marvel's main Star Wars 2015 series. Same era, same shared events, even the famous scene where Boba Fett reports back to Vader about the name Skywalker shows up in both. So if you've read those, this feels like the director's cut from Vader's side of the hallway. Big picture, this run answers 2 questions the movies skip. How Vader finds out he has a son, and how he claws his way back into power after losing the Emperor's favorite toy. Volume 1 is the setup. He realizes the Emperor's got backup plans that don't involve him, and he starts quietly building his own resources, so he's not just the galaxy's angriest middle manager forever. Plot-wise, Volume 1 is Vader trying to fix his reputation, while everyone else in the Empire quietly sharpens knives behind his back. He gets demoted, handed a babysitter to keep tabs on him, and sent on errands to places like Jabba's palace, where he starts doing his own side deals that are absolutely not on the Emperor's calendar. The book keeps him juggling 2 main obsessions: digging into whatever secret project the Emperor is running without him, and tracking down the Force-sensitive rebel pilot who blew up the Death Star. Every meeting, every underworld favor, every totally innocent massacre is him trying to answer those 2 questions while pretending he's still a loyal employee. Tone-wise, it's less pew-pew Star Wars romp and more corporate thriller with lightsabers, lots of scheming, intimidation, and quiet power plays, with bursts of very one-sided action when someone underestimates him. The underworld stuff with Jabba, bounty hunters, and the shady tech people keeps it from becoming just gray hallways and staff meetings. So it feels like you're watching Vader commute between 2 equally terrible jobs. This run leads hard into Vader as terrifying middle manager who secretly hates his job. And it works. The author, Gillen, keeps him mostly quiet and formal, so you're reading his mood through body language, pauses, and how fast he decides someone just doesn't need a windpipe anymore. Very passive-aggressive, but with a lightsaber. Volume 1 also drops in Dr. Aphra, who's basically a moral, flexible space archaeologist with a death wish and a doctorate. She never stops talking, which makes her the perfect foil for Vader's brick wall energy. Her nervous jokes keep things from getting too grim, right up until you remember she's absolutely willing to hand over innocent people to be tortured if it keeps her alive one more day. When you've got a 000 and a BT-1, the evil mirror image of C-3PO and R2-D2 protocol droid, who loves torture, astromech built for maximum carnage, which gives the book this pitch-black humor running alongside the Imperial politics. Around them, you've got Jabba, bounty hunters, and Imperial rivals orbiting Vader, so you're constantly reminded he's dangerous, but he's not untouchable yet. He's still one bad staff meeting away from an early retirement package. Visually, this leans hard into original trilogy, but in comic form. The artist, Salvador Lacora, keeps the ships, corridors, and especially Vader himself looking like they walk straight out of the films in very polished, almost photoreal style. Vader's body language does a lot of acting here. Tilted helmet, slight shift in posture, tiny composition changes that sell his mood even though the mask never moves. The trade-off is that when human characters pop up, you can sometimes feel the photo reference a bit. Faces can look a little stiff or overlit, especially if you're sensitive to that sort of thing. But it stays on the noticeable but not ruinous side of the spectrum. What really carries the book is the storytelling. Panel layouts are clear and cinematic, action scenes hit cleanly, and the quieter, talky pages, they still move at a good clip. So the volume never feels like it's dragging its cape. If there's a weak spot, it's that we're back to Vader as the Emperor's chew toy and more Imperial office drama, which is kind of the default move in a lot of Vader stories. It's not a deal breaker though, because the book leans into that humiliation on purpose, making him the scapegoat, then watching him quietly decide he's never going to be this vulnerable again. And it actually gives the latter power plays some teeth. On the flip side, the big emotional punch is the sequence where he finally pieces together who the rebel pilot is and what that Skywalker name really means to him. It reframes the whole volume as a moment Vader stops, just trying to get his job back, and starts plotting a personal war. And if that beat doesn't hook you, this probably isn't the Vader run you're looking for. For who this works, it really works. If you like villain POV stories, Imperial backstabbing, and watching Vader operate more like a ruthless project manager than a mindless enforcer, this is basically essential reading. It actually moves the cannonball down the field, showing how he learns about Luke and starts rebuilding his power after the Death Star. So it's not just extra content you can ignore. As a starting point, Volume 1 is a strong hook. It stands on its own as Vader's bad week at work, but it clearly builds as Episode 1 of a longer fall and rise arc that flows straight into Book 2, Shadows and Secrets, and eventually the Vader Down crossover. If this mix of petty Sith office drama, underworld side hustles, and one huge emotional reveal lands for you, the rest of the Gillian run is basically this book tuned up to 11.